But first, in a Mark Dolan Tonight exclusive, Claudia Bryan was attacked by hammer-wielding thugs who robbed her and her 70-year-old female friend last year. Well, they were caught and sentenced this year to 3 years in prison. Claudia has since been informed by the probation service that the main perpetrator, an Albanian man, was released just days ago. Now, Claudia, I'm delighted that you've joined us in the studio, and I'm so sorry for your ordeal. First of all, your emotions when you heard the news that this awful criminal is free to walk the streets again.
I was mortified, and I could not believe that the government would have a policy. This gentleman, if for want of a better word, gentleman, had served 6 months of a 3-year sentence for holding a hammer over my 70-year-old friend's head. I jumped out of a 2-story building to call the police, hanging by the window, and it was horrifying. He also had 3 accomplices with him. Yeah. They got community service. Now, to hear that he's been released after 6 months, after putting a hammer over my 70-year-old friend's head to rob us of mobile phones and laptops.
Well, if it's not too painful for you, are you able to give us sort of the background to this awful attack? So your friend, she's 70 years of age.
70 years of age.
Is she walking down the streets?
No, sir. We were in an apartment. We'd rented a lovely Airbnb where we were going to look at the sites in Kent.
Right.
And we were sitting there. It was a beautiful evening.
So you were in the apartment?
Correct. Beautiful evening, September. We were sitting having a cup of tea and there was a knock at the door. I went to the door, did not open the door. This voice said to me that he was looking for an Adrian. I said that I don't know any Adrian and that it was just myself and my female friend there. He proceeded to kick the door in. I ran, grabbed my mobile phone and started to phone the police.
Yeah.
He came in with a hammer, 2 other gentlemen with him with a dog, and they held a hammer over my 70-year-old friend's head, threatening to kill us, and that they were looking for this other person that we did not know. So I managed to get the police there. They were apprehended, thankfully.
How quickly did the police come?
Half an hour. So
you had this ordeal for 30 minutes?
Correct.
And were you essentially being held captive at that point?
I was actually hanging outside of a window, my legs
Was that
dangling.
an attempted escape on your part?
Yes, but also to contact the police because I didn't want him to get my mobile phone while I was on the phone with the police. And I was describing him to the police. I was about a few yards away, could see them, could describe the hammer, could describe the attacker. And, yeah, and my friend just had her hands up and she was just begging them not to hurt us. And
were the assailants still on the scene when the police arrived?
No, they'd actually gone away in a car, and luckily a witness on the street had got the reg number of the car. Right.
What kind of impact has this had on you and your friend?
This has been awful. Both of us have suffered PTSD. If you hear a door bang when we're out in the street shopping or in a mall shopping, we find ourselves being extremely nervous and looking around. And if someone has spatial awareness issues with us, coming close to us, we find ourselves suffering. And particularly my 70-year-old friend, she has nightmares. We've been staying together since. I've been looking after her. And she has nightmares. She wakes up screaming. We honestly believed that that day they were going to kill us.
And what were your emotions when you took that call? This week, was it?
Correct.
This
on Monday.
Being released early.
Correct.
The phone rang and it was the probation service?
Yeah, it was probation service. A very nice lady explained to me that she was sorry to inform us that this person had been released, and we were to understand that he was now on licence and had a tag. It's in an area where we live, so he is quite close by. While we don't know this person, we do know that he would, of course, recognise us should we be at a local shopping centre or anything like that. And it's been quite frightening. We haven't wanted to go out. We haven't wanted to go to our local coffee shops because we don't know if this person would recognise us again. I have to say that the police were incredibly proactive, and they were good. Probation assured me that this person does not know my name or her name and won't be able to find us, but we do know the area in which he frequents.
And how about you? How have you been feeling since the attack?
I'm nervous. I feel that the government doesn't realise women like ourselves or other victims, male victims as well, when you release these sorts of people back onto the streets, I am confident that this person will do it again, and I'm also confident that they probably the next time might hurt somebody.
Yeah, did this person seem intent on violence?
Absolutely.
Did they look like they were willing to use that hammer?
100%.
Not an amateur?
No. This man was not coming to knock nails in our wall. He was certainly angry. He was looking for a particular individual.
Yeah.
We have subsequently found out that they also caught the other individual that he was looking for. So it was a county drugs line incident.
And was it a case of mistaken identity?
Correct.
Or the wrong address?
He had the wrong address, and
Right.
he just kicked the door down.
It just shows you the dark underbelly of violence in our country, doesn't it? What's your appraisal of this government policy to release 1,500 to 2,000 people early?
I'm furious. I'm absolutely furious. There are a lot of victims out there that are now concerned for their safety. There are particularly women that are out there that have had incidents happen to them, and I worry for our communities and for our safety. So I think that the government needs to rethink this policy and address it.
Indeed. You're South African, aren't you?
Correct.
And I would suggest perhaps that South Africa has quite a long history.
We are immune to violence in South Africa.
Yeah.
However, we are able to protect ourselves by owning a gun. Here in the UK, one cannot protect oneself. I have lived in the UK for 28 years, so I am not immune to that level of violence no longer. And so when it happened, my instinct said that I had to escape from the situation, therefore throwing myself out of a two-storey building.
And how is your friend right now? I mean, you said she's getting flashbacks and all the rest of it.
She is. She's
has it affected her health?
Yes, and her mental health in particular.
Yeah.
She's lost a lot of weight. She's lost 3 stone in weight since the incident, and she finds it very challenging to just do daily tasks. So I've been taking care of her since.
Is Britain becoming more dangerous, do you think?
It is indeed. I see a pattern. I see that we perhaps need to start to look at our police force.
More police or different policies?
I would say different policies, different training, maybe. These criminals that are here now are very different to perhaps what the British public is used to, and the level of violence is certainly going to go up.
So are you sort of intimating the issue of foreign-born nationals who commit crimes?
Correct. This gentleman was Albanian. The others, there was one Indigenous English person. The others were all foreign.
Well, can I thank you for your courage in speaking out?
Thank you, Mark.
And your generosity in telling me and my viewers and listeners your story.
And I do hope the government rethinks this policy. So thank you for your time.
We all do. My best wishes to you and your dear friend as well. If she's watching, then we wish her well and a continued recovery from what is clearly an emotional and physical trauma. My thanks there to Claudia Bryan. What a story.